everyone, and welcome to Heads and Dovetails with myself, Jill Harvey-Bush, with a voice again, and of course, the lovely Jamie Hubbard. Jamie, I am going to shut up this episode because my lovely husband Clive listened to the last one and said with my croaky voice, "Did you realise you spoke for 5 minutes before Jamie said anything?" So I'm shutting up now. Over to you, Jamie.
Good morning. Yeah, 5 minutes, and you got that voice. Maybe what it was I was just because I did say it was a very sexy voice. It sounded great. Maybe it was my fault. Maybe I just let you just.
No, and I
Good
was,
morning.
in my defense, this is my defense, I was kind of praising you and skilled workers and I think I was thinking maybe if I talk quickly, I can get it all out before my voice goes.
Oh, right.
It's a bit like
Okay.
a friend years ago when I first learnt to drive. My lovely friend Carol, I'll never forget it. I was never very good at keeping the petrol in. You had in those days 10 shillings and it would, enough to get in the tank. And I was getting really, really low on petrol. And we were out in a village coming back from the pub. And Carol very nicely said to me, "Well, if you speed up, you can get to the garage before the petrol runs out."
What a
I had
lovely way to think about it.
I had to explain to it, it doesn't last on time. And actually going faster will mean we'll use more petrol. Anyway, over to you. We're going to talk about what we're talking about today, Jamie.
I don't know, but I want to. I just want to mention it's been a. We mention this every now and then, don't we? About and you've just touched on it again, which is skill thing, which is what we talked about at the beginning. You were praising my skills in making the thing. The sign for you for you. I've had a busy week. I've had a seriously busy week,
Mm,
and it's sort of been 2 weeks in preparation for Monday. And Monday was a tree coming down out in a sort of square where you park your cars, out right next to a church. So I looked at it and thought, yeah, 100 years ago or whenever they started thinking we need to get vehicles and whatever outside here, they sort of scooped a load of land around this tree away, tarmacked it, and parked around it. Well, that tree, which has been the standard in front of that church for 150 years, was a split trunk,
uh,
and in hurricane, we didn't have a hurricane. In Storm Amy a few weeks ago, somebody said that when they were passing it, they could see the split opening
yeah.
upside. Well, that started the ball rolling, and that tree came down on Monday. Um, I'd been asked a couple of times by two different people, can you come? Can you advise on timber to keep furniture? Can you help with this? Can you help with that? And this is also the skills thing that really bothers me. It's just like as soon as you get into a niche,
Mm,
you're expected to take less money.
mm,
And my thing here was I was told, and I don't really want to say out on here how many thousands, but I was told how many thousands the tree surgeons were getting. Now, they were great. They did a good job. They were told that there were 100 people wanted some timber from this tree.
wow.
100. I know. The guy said, I've got the church warden said, I've got a list of 100 people who want some of the wood from this tree. I'm like, blimey, I'm going to have to get there early. I'm going to have to fight past people. I'm going to have to make my. So I decided I was going to put my shaving horse there somewhere where I could be in between the church and the tree, not in the area where it'll fall on me or whatever, because
No,
they
that's not a
didn't
good idea, Jamie.
know. And it wasn't
Timber.
we're chopping it at the bottom and it'll fall. It was
Mm,
cherry picker, get to the top,
yeah,
take all the branches off, they get bigger,
yeah,
straps around them and lower it down. But they did a brilliant job.
yeah.
2 day job. Um, but it just went out of control, and I've done a video on it and I've started editing it. But the annoying thing for me was they were told that that so much timber was needed. The second day, I was called by somebody and said, this was at 8:15. The wood's nearly all gone. And I was just like, what? It's a 2 day thing. It's a 2 day job. And he
So
said,
had you gone, let me just clarify.
I
You had
went on the first
gone,
day.
On the first to get some wood?
I went
No.
on the first day, I set up a shaving horse, and I said to them, look, if I can have some of the wood, I will make a stool for you that is made out of the tree. On the day the tree came down, you can put it in the church, you can use it, do
Right,
whatever you want.
okay.
I will
So
do,
I couldn't understand why you
yes,
took your
sorry.
shaving horse.
I will
Yeah.
do a green woodworking knock together stool. It took
Yeah.
about 2 hours out of the whole day. And we
Right.
took a picnic. We took flask, we took loads of food, and
Yeah.
my wife Lynn came with me, and we sat there. And actually, it was in a way, it was sad to see the tree taken down, but it was
Yeah.
beautifully done. It was a beautiful thing to witness
Yeah.
and sit there and watch it all day because it's a
Oh, it's a
distance from the house.
fascinating,
And yeah, and the
fascinating
professionals,
to
they did
see
a
them. Yeah.
yeah, they did such a good job. My gripe really was I thought there'd be a lot more people around wanting the timber because, and this is the thing, when you've got a church or whatever and they're saying, oh, we've got to take this out, you get all the kerfuffle, all the fuss, all the you can't do
Mm.
that, you can't do this. You go, no, nobody turned up. I say nobody turned up. There were about 4 or 5 people who turned up and sat and watched, and it is sad, yes, but look at this and look at that, and it's going to be made into furniture and whatever. As I say, the next day, the timber, I got there and there were 2 pieces of timber left.
Where did it go? Who'd come and
The
collected
and
it?
this is the problem, and it's communication as well. The guy I was dealing with wasn't particularly the head honcho. He wasn't really in charge. He was
Hmm.
church warden. So I don't know what he'd been told.
Hmm.
And it's about what they share with people as well.
Hmm. It's
So
communication.
I just thought, why is he ringing me this morning and telling me that? Anyhow, I was there in a shot, but 2 pieces left. And I said, I'll be honest with you, I'm fuming. I'm fuming. I said, I wanted, and I said to you, can I have some of this timber to make things with? He said, well, you've had a bit. I said, I've had a bit. I said, I
Mm.
haven't even had 0.5% of this timber. I said, and I was my what I'd said to you was, if I'm there being positive on the day, making a stool, making this less of a less of a an upheaval for your parishioners by making something positive out of it and gifting you
Yeah.
a stool,
Yeah.
which took my time, 2 hours, plus I was there all day. That's not it. That's not.
Yeah.
I wanted a number of pieces that I could
Yeah.
dry out and make some nice pieces of furniture because of what was happening before, which was there was so much, so many people really, really upset by this. Oh, they'll all be wanting chairs, they'll all be wanting benches. And I was just like, oh, okay, maybe this is almost a commission. Maybe I can say to
Mm.
people, well, look, how much do you want to spend? What do you
Mm.
sort of want? Work out some sort of thing, you
Mm.
know, a 60 quid stool or a £1,000 chair or what,
Mm.
because they're all going on about, um, you know, this tree's been here for 150 years. My kids used to climb over the roots when we used to come to church, and it was in the photo, our wedding photos. So I get all of
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
then there were 2 pieces left, and those 2 pieces wouldn't even would only just sit on a single bed. That's how small they were.
So where did all the
So
wood go? Did people just come and the
no,
people on the list collect, or somebody just nick it?
no, it was pre-organised by the tree surgeons and probably the vicar or whoever was in charge, who I
Hmm.
still don't know who's in charge. They'd got an eight-wheeler with a crane on. Like when they've got a lorry
Yeah.
with a trailer and then a crane in between the
Yeah. Yeah.
lorry and the trailer so that it can put it
Yeah.
forward and back. That was nearly full by 8:20.
Where was it
So,
going then?
well, this is the thing. The tree surgeons make the money off taking the tree down. They also make the money selling the wood.
Oh, of course they do. And the wood
There you
chippings.
go. So that's what had
So they
happened.
weren't leaving the wood. There's
Nope,
these list of a
no
hundred
intention.
people.
No, no intention.
Oh, good grief. That's
So the communication
miscommunication.
was awful.
Yeah.
But the sad thing is they left 2 guys there to mop up, and this one guy was really good. Um, and I said, look, I don't want much. I just want enough to make a few legs for chairs. So 24-inch long of that log, that would do me. And I don't need anything else. Let everybody else have everybody else. There was one person there. So all this kerfuffle about something, and yet, when it just really bothers me that these these guys get paid a lot of money. They got a lot of money for felling that tree,
Hmm.
several thousands of
Hmm.
pounds.
Oh,
But
I know from
then,
the cost I paid to have ours just, crowned and chopped up and yeah, and we
but they,
have to do
but
it.
yeah, but then they make a lot of money selling the logs as well.
Yeah.
So they make twice as much as they need to. Not, I'm going to say
And
need to.
I always ask for the wood chip, which is why we've got a big pile of wood chip at the moment. And that was because Highline came to clear and de-electrify our oak tree. So they cleared the lines. And I wasn't here, but Clive is now trained well enough to say, is there any chance we could have the wood chip, please? So they just pile it up in the, and actually I got wood chip from everybody else's. I think they just emptied the whole lorry
Yeah,
because our local tree surgeons, if you don't ask for the wood chip, they take it away, they dry it, and then you can go and buy it. And you buy the wood chip from them, buy the sack, buy the lorry load, buy the half lorry load, which I have done in the past. So not only is the wood getting sold, they also stockpile the wood chip and sell the wood chip, which I suppose
I get it. They've got to
I
be,
get it. Nobody, if people
yes.
don't want it, I get it.
Well,
Why
these
wouldn't you?
well, these guys sell their wood chip for biomass.
Yeah,
So that goes into production and it makes pellets for log burners
yeah,
and biomass heaters and whatever. So yeah, they've got a number of really good outlets to get rid of their
yeah.
to make a lot of profit.
Well, I
And I
think
was,
it's the depending on who the guys are, because normally we have the person who owns the company, and then they employ the tree surgeons. So
of
the
course
tree
they do.
surgeons
Yeah.
get paid well, obviously, out of
Yeah.
that. And the guy who owns the company, then I was talking to him, obviously has his overheads in terms of the office, the space, the area, upkeep of the saws and all the rest of it. So I suppose it's why wouldn't you? Why
Yes,
wouldn't you?
I get it, but I think what it was really for me was there was so much emotion before it, and I was there. I felt I was there, and I'd said why I'd
Mm.
do it.
Oh no, I
Um,
understand.
I just felt really used. I felt really
Well,
used
makes you
because,
wonder how the other parishioners might feel. Or at least the
oh,
communication for them was, oh, the wood will be chopped down and it'll be put here, and then you can come and help yourself, sort of thing, to then
well,
turn up and find it's all gone. So
well,
you don't have to come on the day. I can imagine that would be horrendous for tree surgeons. The
I
health and
think,
safety, mate. Health and safety.
well, obviously, I knew this tree was coming down,
Hmm.
and there was one post or two posts on Facebook from the church saying it was coming down, but from nothing else, from nowhere else. So not even the local
Mm.
Stourbridge blog or whatever. Nobody else had said, "What a shame, the poor tree's coming down," whatever. Not none of that. But once the trees come down, all the newspapers and whatever, fabulous tree removed and whatever, and the people then commenting just like it wasn't even almost advertised properly that it was coming down. It was all after the event,
Well,
and
in
I'm just like,
some cases, they don't want to advertise it
there you
because
go.
you then get the tree protesters, the local people, everybody collecting, which, as I say, because of the subsidence issue we've had with our tree, yeah, the insurance company pulled out. I am noting, I did see a big article the other day that a couple of insurance companies now are fighting the TPOs, saying this is all very well, but it's the best thing for our
Yeah,
clients. And yes, tree subsidence has gone up. We were told, I think
yeah,
it's gone up over 800% this year.
not
The
surprised.
subsidence claims are just rocketing, and it's all due to big trees, vegetation.
Yeah,
So I said to Clive, in some ways, I'm really glad we were on the beginning of it, if you know what I
yes,
mean, that we're not one of these now 2, 3
yeah,
years on the other end. So I think that's also where people try to keep it quiet, because we made no notification, but obviously somebody, because you have to apply to have the tree removed, you have to get planning permission. Somebody keeps an eye, or it flags up these days, on the computer. Oh, there's an application gone in to fell a tree. And that's then, we don't know, we still to this day don't know what the local group was, or, save the tree type group. And we had been warned by the insurers, or the people doing it, if we do go for that tree, then, look out for protesters climbing it. And the Daily Mail and. In fact, the engineer was quite cross that a letter had been sent out incorrectly to our neighbour. And we thought, how did they find out? Because we were wanting to put all this through before we notified the neighbour. Anyway, and he said the reason that we try and keep it really quiet for as long as possible until we've gone all the way through the process is otherwise you'll find it. He said we have found, various TV, major media outlets there. He said one place it was just swamped. So he said, watch out,
Yeah,
you'll have people up the tree.
yeah.
And at the time, that summer, of course, I had loads of tomatoes. And I said, well, as long as they love tomatoes and cups of tea, I have no problem. Yeah, I can see why they don't notify these days, but
I get it. I
anyway.
get it.
But I can
But
see why you were really felt used, Jamie,
well, I was
ultimately.
there. Yes, I mean it's so. Yeah, I'll send you a link to the video. I haven't edited it all yet. I've done a bit. Um, it'll be quite. It'll be all right. It's interesting to watch actually how they take it down.
Oh,
I,
it's
I, I
fascinating.
yeah, I really enjoyed. I
Yeah.
didn't mind it, but I just. But I'm going to give you a little sneaky. I've never heard a church warden swear so much. That's all I'm going to say. He he changed from the Monday to the Tuesday. You just said I was talking to a different person. That's all I'm going to say. Right, what else are we going to talk about?
Well, there was one thing that came to mind, and I keep hearing the adverts about, get yourself a smart meter, contact your utilities company. So going off in a completely different direction here,
Yes,
about get your smart meter, and then you don't have to, do a reading every month. You won't have to bother with any of that. And you keep thinking, oh, really good idea. And as you know, a couple of weeks ago, I went up to Jackson's to flat sit for him because he got a cock up with Octopus and his smart meter being repaired. He'd booked for it in the August when he was on holiday, and he booked for the afternoon. He was here on the Tuesday. It was going to be Tuesday afternoon. He left here very early to make sure he was back well before the slot. We could talk about delivery slots. The slot anytime in the afternoon between 1 and 6, I think it was. So he said, Mum, if I leave here by sort of 8:30, I'll be home by 11:30, not a problem. Long story short, they turned up at like 9:30, of course, rang him and said, where are you? And he said, well, I'm just approaching Bristol. Come back this afternoon. That's when my slot was booked. Got all cocked up. So very long story short, said, Mum, I can't take the day off work. We're way too busy. Could you come and flat sit? Which is what I did. So I'm busy chatting to the utility man, the company that they use to come and change the smart meters. Jackson lives in a second floor flat. His electric meter is right outside his front door. Perfect. His gas meter is outside, if you like, below all their kitchens, but you have to kind of go out the side door and walk round. And there are the 3 gas meters below the ground floor flats kitchen window. So the gas meter is outside. I nicely said to the man while I was chatting and he was doing the payment, I said, oh, this is great then. So he no longer will have to do a meter reading. This is perfect. And he said, no, he'll still have to do meter readings. And I said, pardon? But it's a smart meter. And I don't know about you, Jamie, but my understanding of smart meters, like us, is once you have a smart meter in, you no longer have to give the monthly readings.
yeah,
And this is where he said, oh, well, this is where you're all being misled and given misinformation. He said, basically, if your electric meter is more than 2 meters away from your gas meter, it won't work when you have gas and electric. And hang on, why not? And he said, because one has to read from the other, and they do it obviously by Wi-Fi or whatever. And he said, if it's too far away, we can't get the connection. So it needs the electric meter to be able to read the gas meter. So he said, no, I'm sorry, your son will still have to read the meter. I said, so what's all this kerfuffle about everybody's got to have new smart
yeah.
meters? He said, well, ultimately, you don't have to. He said, you could have stayed with the old meter. He said, yes, they'd have to be updated at some point when it went wrong. He said, but there's this big push to get everybody onto smart meters. So the amount of people who, he called me my lovely, the amount of people, my lovely, who get really angry at me when they realise this, they've had
Yeah.
all this done and they're still going to have to do a reading. And he said, of course, most flats, same situation. The gas meters are elsewhere and the electric meters, can you imagine on, I suppose they're 24
But
flats that, and he said, get people who do extensions. And he said they have to move the meter.
yeah,
And he said they get really angry that their meter has been moved too far away. And he said, I can test it. He said, you might be lucky. Sometimes you might just get a signal over that. He said, but on the whole, if you work on a rough estimate of more than 2 meters away from each other, no, you'll still have to do a monthly reading. So I just thought that is a real bit of misinformation or a piece of
It
information
is.
not being imparted to
Can,
customers.
can you imagine though how many look think of him for a year?
Hmm.
How many times has he had to have that conversation through the year?
Oh,
And the
loads.
inefficiency of yeah,
Yes.
exactly. I mean, he almost needs to carry a little sheet of paper with it on and just say, "Oh, read this," and then
Or
get
it
on
should
with
be
his
sent,
job.
it should be put on a website, it should be
It
sent to the
should.
client,
It
the
should.
customer saying, please be aware because you live in a flat, or please be aware if your electric meter and gas meter are too far apart, you will still need to do a meter reading. So when I told Jackson when he came home, he was just like, that's bonkers. He said, so
Yeah.
why have I bothered all this aggro? I said,
Yeah. This
totally
is,
get it.
in my opinion, this is an analog world that we live in. Them
Yep,
the powers that be want it all to be digital, and yet
yep,
some things just they're just it's just not going to happen. Not
absolutely.
without a big influx of cash from them,
And
and then
also,
they don't
there's
want
the
to do that.
worry. Now, actually, that's just reminded me of another issue we've had this week of ID fraud. So, Clive and I, it's again, took investigation. It all takes time, doesn't it, during your day?
Yeah.
Doing emails, answering phone calls, going back to the email, finding out information. We innocently, I suppose, innocently had a card come through, must have been the first day of Monday half term, so not this week, last week. And it was a big thing saying thank you. And it was St. James's School, didn't know where it was. It was our address, but it said, Dear Benjamin, I just wanted to say how well you've been doing in maths this term. You're smashing your first term in year seven. And first of all, you think, oh, well, it's not for us. And I thought, hang on a minute. How have they got our address at a school for a kid in year seven called Benjamin? So I
Wow.
said to Clive, this is a bit suspect.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So rang the school on half term. So I then sent an email saying, we're concerned about ID fraud because then you start thinking, hang on, what else are they using our address for then, this family?
Yeah.
So I did get a response then when I had, put the subject title ID fraud police. And the guy rang me and he said, or he emailed me back, sorry, we haven't replied, blah, blah, blah. This certainly needs some, looking at it now, this needs some additional investigation. Could you please give me a call? Anyway, very long story short, so I'm not talking forever, just for my husband. Um, Basically, the address gets the file when they move from primary school apparently to secondary school. I don't know if it applies. This is Exeter. When he moved from primary school to secondary school, they send over a digital file on the student. If there's any
Right.
information incorrect on that digital file, it goes with them to the next school. So when the people had left here, now bearing in mind we've been here nearly 5 years, the house was empty for over a year before we bought it. So that's say 6 years.
Yes.
There's only 6 years, I think, plus reception class at a primary school. The primary school, the parents had obviously not notified them or our address had not been changed. And therefore, the file, when the child moved from primary school to secondary school, went to the secondary school with the wrong address on it. And I said,
Right.
hang on a minute. He said, well, we do take, updated details. And I said, so how come this has not been picked up from your updated details? He said, well, unfortunately, our system, he said, which is something that we're going to have to look at or get somebody, in the education system to look at the system they use. They had got his correct address and telephone number, but it had created a new file. It didn't flag up that this child already has a file on your system. So you think, oh, for goodness sake. So they then had to double check with the mother, details they now had. Did you used to live at our address? And she said, oh, yeah, well over 6 years ago. So that, when you're talking about computers, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
One just sends to another. And if we hadn't have got that postcard, that file would have then gone on if he stayed into sixth form with our address on it. So you just think, wow, we wonder how ID fraud happens,
I
Jamie.
know, I know.
It's a bit scary when and computers, don't get me started, as they say, because that was another issue um, with my sister. She talking about meters, so this does link. She had an old RTS meter, radio something or other meter that has to be changed because they're switching them all off. And if you haven't changed it, then there's a big problem with your electric meter. So when we switched her over from one utilities to another, she got a new meter. And the new meter was installed in July. I had thought, fine, we're all sorted, all up and running now, not a problem. Till she got an email saying that she owed, bearing in mind she's been in a respite care and hospital for the last sort of 5 weeks, that over a 2 month period, she now owed £3,287 and 40 pence on her electric for a one-bedroom flat in a retirement complex. And you just think, what? So that needed sorting. I said, this can't be possible. This is crazy. She's not been in the flat. She had a new meter. We had problems then with it was EDF and Octopus. She moved from one to the other. I said, you had a problem then with the meters. I was told by EDF that was all sorted, all done. Oh, yes, it's because we've got the reading from the new smart meter, so we've applied that to where you were on the old meter, which meant, of course, it had gone round and round and round and round and round in their heads to get to this number. You just think, how does a computer? But this is computers, isn't it? They just spill out a bill. In the old days, somebody would have been sat there going, I'm sending out, we're sending out this bill. This can't be right.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
5 weeks, this
Manually,
can't be
yeah.
right. But computers don't pick it up. So we've had all that
But
hassle to sort that out.
and this is the problem. This is the main problem, and this is the difference between, say, my style of working and somebody else's style of working. If I do a piece of furniture for somebody, I will do that piece of furniture to the best of my ability so that I
Hmm.
never see it again.
Hmm.
If it's restored properly, if it's done properly, I don't ever want to see it. Right. That's my thing. The companies that are selling software and all sorts, I'm going to say it, they build in glitches because then they do a service thing, the
Hmm.
service pack, which means that once they've sold the product to somebody, they've then got to keep servicing it and maintaining it. And they say, well, it needs maintenance. Well, why is there a bug in it? Oh, I don't know. This thing sort of thing can happen. And it could have been an ex-employee did this or did. And they'll come up with all sorts of reasons. But at the end of the day, it's just to get more money off people.
Yeah.
And if this change isn't done properly, and maybe, I mean, we used to see it on the boats with software from different companies when they were doing using different softwares for drawing things. If you didn't have the next bit, the next part, if you weren't paying thousands every month, then if you stop paying it, your everything would fall over. And
Yeah.
it's just like that shouldn't be the way to run a business.
No.
This is the product. It's finished. It's ready.
Yeah.
Go play. Go enjoy.
Yeah. It's kind
And
of
that
built-in
winds me up.
obsolescence as well, that side of things. But that's a
Oh yeah,
whole other subject I will make a note of because that drives me mad as well, in terms of that.
me
Anyway,
too.
Jamie, we're at the end again. I hope I didn't
Flies
talk
by.
most of the time this time.
I
I'll have
I
to
talk.
time myself.
We'll need one of those. Tell you what we should do. We should get one of those chess players
Oh yeah, you've got a minute, I've got
props.
a minute, you've got a minute, I've got a minute. Anyway, everybody, if that's helped you, if you're thinking about having a smart meter, just double check because it doesn't actually mean to say that you will be able to give up having to read your meter. And we hope that you've got a little bit of something from here, from tree cutting. And I could sit and watch tree surgeons all day, to be honest, Jamie. I think
Mm.
they're fascinating to watch. And hope you have a good couple of weeks. I can't believe we're racing towards the end of the year at this rate.
Mm.
I'm on a willow weaving course next week for a couple of days. That's my 2 days holiday. I'm going to go on a couple of days of willow weaving, so I'm going to
Oh,
enjoy that.
nice.
Yes,
Oh,
I'm
nice.
sure you'll see it.
Yes,
Anyway,
yes.
thank you very
Look forward
much
to
to
it.
our loyal listeners who listen, and hope you've enjoyed this episode as well. At least I've got my voice back. Jamie, you have a good couple of weeks, and catch up with you again soon.
Bye.